more you do, the better you'll get, mate. Okay, all positive, and yeah, it's just good to see you having a good time doing it as well. That's what we want to see. So yeah, good stuff, matey.
Thank you. So how's lockdown been for you?
I was off work from March to August. Went back August the 2nd or the 3rd to work. So during lockdown, we were doing about 2 episodes a week of Stu's Wrestling Podcast. Looking back, it might have been too much. There was a lot of content coming out, and obviously people couldn't keep up. But I think people are starting to slowly catch up because we're back down to 1 episode a week now. So people have managed to catch up, But it's been good fun. It's been good fun doing the show. So yeah. All good, matey.
Awesome. So if we go to the podcast, when did you actually start it?
We started in January 2019, and I'd been thinking about it for a long time about doing one. And I spoke to my nan about 2 years prior, and it was always in the back of my mind, I really want to do a podcast. Nan had passed away in March 2018. And that was sort of like the catalyst for me to go and do it. She wasn't a wrestling fan, but she knew I was really inspired by wrestling and stuff of that nature. So that was the catalyst for me starting my podcast. That's how it came to be.
Who was your official guest on your first ever podcast?
I'm just trying to think now. who was my first guest? Sean McMahon. He's no longer around at the moment. I don't know where he disappeared. My second guest was Keith Colwell, Roughneck. He's been wrestling for many years around the UK circuit. Great guy. I get on with Keith really well. Had Keith on earlier on in the year again. He came back on. So yeah, I've had twice. Many guests, mate. WCW guys, obviously Stevie Ray more recently. Barry Horowitz, Dwayne Gill, used to be in WWE, WWF. So yeah, I've had some really cool guys on, to be fair. Yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, that's amazing. So you interviewed some really big people. Who was your favourite to interview so far?
I can't classify someone as my favourite, Kyle. I just find they've all been good in their own way. And that's not just me sitting on the fence. I really have. I've enjoyed every single one. I've had Mike Angus on, Mad Dog, twice. We had a great chat twice. He's got to come back on, actually. Mike, you need to come back on. You know that. You'll be the third time guest. So we're going to sort that out. We're just trying to work out how we're going to go about it and make it a bit different, the episodes to the other two. But yeah, Tyson Kidd, TJ Wilson, absolutely brilliant. We did that as a 2-parter. Filmed that in June. It came out late June, and the second part came out in July. And I've had the pleasure of having Tyson. I've met him as well prior to the interview. Trying to get my words out there, Kyle. It's getting a bit tongue-tied. But yeah, I met him years ago, so it was full circle getting him on. That's what I was trying to say, yeah.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
Really cool.
Do you have any tips for people who want to get into the podcast business or anything like that?
Just go for it would be the first thing I'd say, as advice. And obviously, you're going to get better the more you do. I know it sounds cliche, but the more times you do it, your confidence will come. I was a bit nervy to start with, but as we've gone through, the nerves have dissipated, I just think if it's what you want to do, not necessarily if you're into wrestling, maybe if you're into another sport, if you're into football, whatever your interest is, just go for it. And you'd be quite surprised, people will come on, people within the certain industry you're covering, they will come on, just give them a message. That's the beauty of social media, isn't it? Years ago, we didn't have this. So we've got social media on our side. And I've managed to get a lot of decent people on, but I've got a good contact over in America who's helped me get guys as well, because I probably wouldn't have got them on. I've got to be honest. I probably wouldn't have got those guys on. Like TJ was because he knew Barry Horowitz. So I got friendly with Barry, and that's how that came to be. But yeah, my tips are just be yourself as well. Don't put on a facade. People can see through it. Be yourself. They're my tips really about starting one. And equipment, going on to equipment, make sure, like yourself, you've got a decent microphone there, decent web camera. Just have all the kit ready and you're good to go basically. Just go with it. That's all I can really say about it. Just have a go, Yeah,
100%. So if we go back in time now, what got you into wrestling?
1990, Kyle, and it makes me feel old. It makes me feel old, let me tell you. I used to go to my cousins of a weekend, and they had the old analog Sky, the original Sky, and obviously the wrestling was on Sky One, I think Sky Sports, Sky Movies. So I used to go around on the weekends, and I can remember seeing the Rockers, Shawn Michaels, Marty Jannetty, Legion of Doom, the Hart Foundation. Tag wrestling was really at the forefront back then, not like how it is today, you know. Tag wrestling was a big part of the show back then. But yeah, I gravitated to Bret Hart when he was in the Hart Foundation. He went off on his own, obviously, became a single star. So yeah, those are the guys I gravitated to. But yeah, I relied on going to my cousin's house to watch it. But also, a guy my dad worked with, he would take the pay-per-views because he had Sky. So he'd take them to VHS. So I was very lucky I got to see WrestleMania, SummerSlam. A bit latterly into 1993, obviously, King of the Ring, they started doing that as a pay-per-view. I was just very lucky because we didn't have Sky in our house. We just had the 4 channels back then. So yeah, I was lucky that I could watch wrestling every week, you know?
Yeah.
Seeing the Undertaker come through as well. Obviously, when he debuted in 1990, that was pretty cool to see where he ended up further down the road. It was incredible. Really
wow.
good.
So, were there any matches that stood out for you back then?
Many matches. I'll give you some of Brett's. I think we'll go with Brett to begin with. So obviously, Brett had a feud with Mr. Perfect leading into SummerSlam 1991, and it was an absolute masterclass of a match. Now, back then, I used to hate the bad guys. When you're a kid, you don't appreciate the bad guys and what they do. As you grow older, you start thinking he was actually a really good wrestler and a persona. But obviously, Brett was the fan favourite. They were building him up, and yeah, I just love that match. Still stands the test of time today. You could put that match on now on telly. It still holds up with what we're seeing, you know, in modern wrestling. So it's really cool, great match. Leading into WrestleMania 8, so obviously into 1992, Brett had lost the belt to the Mountie. And then Piper beat Mountie for the belt at Royal Rumble 1992, which then culminated to WrestleMania 8, and it was Brett versus Roddy Piper for the IC title, for the Intercontinental belt. And what was good about it was, have you seen the match?
Not yet, no.
I haven't seen Roddy Piper versus Bret Hart, right? I'll be sending you that.
I don't think so.
I'll send that over to you after this interview,
Okay.
mate. You've got to watch that. So as I was saying, basically, they both went into that match as good guys, as faces, but they played around with Roddy Piper with his tactics, so it made him look like he was going to turn heel, like he was going to hit him with the ring bell and stuff like that. So it was cool how they changed it. They changed up Roddy Piper's persona in the match, but then obviously the match finishes, they hug it out and everything's great. So yeah, there's some of the good ones I've seen. And SummerSlam 1992, I was in attendance for that in Wembley. So I've just got to say, the Bulldog versus Bret Hart. That's another match, IC title. Although Bret lost, but half the stadium were cheering for Bret, half the stadium were obviously cheering for Bulldog. So it was really cool dynamic that was. And being there in attendance. I'm trying to think of other matches aside from that. Maybe, I know you're obviously going to ask me about me going to WrestleMania, but I've seen some good matches there. So I'd say Michaels versus Ric Flair, the retirement match. I was in attendance for that. That was incredible.
Wow.
It was incredible. Not a dry eye in the house. I was crying by the end of it, but that was obviously Flair's swan song. So yeah, there's so many, mate. I could give you a list of 20, 30 matches.
So, what was your first ever pay-per-view you went to? I know you already mentioned it a little bit, but...
SummerSlam 92, went down on the coach from North Wales with Dad.
Wow.
I remember the day he said it was booked, and there used to be a travel company in the local paper, and they do excursions with the coaches and stuff. So we went from North Wales. I had 2 fake on the bus. I was telling Mike Angus about this many times. Dad's trying to force feed paracetamol down me. By the time we got to the stadium, everything was all right. The 2 fake went, and just incredible. I was 6 at the time. It's obviously I can't remember, but a big thing. The boxer Lennox Lewis, he was a world champion boxer. He came out with the British Bulldogs to the ring with the Union Jack,
wow.
and that always stays with me. although Brett was always my favourite, that was one of the images from being at the event. That was one of the ones that, you know, stayed with me. It was Bulldog coming out with Lennox Lewis. I remember obviously Legion of Doom, and I know Road Warrior Animals obviously passed away in the last week or so. It's quite sad because obviously Mike, Animal and Hawk are both up, you know, up in the sky there now, and it's horrible.
Yeah.
But Legion of Doom versus IRS and $1 Million Man, I remember that really well.
I've seen that one, yeah.
They come out on the Harley Davidson bikes to the ring, don't they?
Yeah.
Incredible. So very lucky to have been at that event. I need to dig the photos out, actually. I think they're in my mum's loft. There's some photos. There's definitely some photos from the event. But yeah, just very lucky, very fortunate. My mum and dad have been brilliant, and obviously my dad taking me down was just incredible.
Yeah.
So yeah, just incredible to be part of SummerSlam 92, you know? Absolutely
incredible. That is absolutely amazing. So after that, you also did the attitude adjustment at the NEC Birmingham 1999. Absolutely. What was that like?
So 7 years, near enough, without going to an event. I don't know why we didn't go to any events in that time. Oddly, you would have thought I would have gone every year. But yeah. Decided we're going to go to Birmingham. My dad took us. It was a friend and my cousin. Obviously, I watched the events with my cousin at his house all those years ago. So yeah, went to that. But got to see Austin. Got to see The Rock, Ken Shamrock, all the top guys. Kane was there still under the mask. Obviously, it was only 99. Triple H versus X-Pac, because obviously Triple H had left the X and stuff like that. So yeah, it was cool, man. It was cool. There was some really good matches that night. Edge was obviously coming through. He'd only been with the company just under a year, I think, when Edge was there. So it was just a who's who on that card. It wasn't televised, but it was quite cool because you get a different vibe. It's a house show. They're a little bit looser. They can come away from the storylines, can't they? So I always like the house shows because it gives you something a little bit different. You know, they could change it up a little bit because it wasn't being televised. But yeah, the NEC, there was probably about 12,000. I think about 12,000 capacity. But it's just to get to see, you know, guys like The Rock and Austin for the first time. So yeah, I remember that quite fondly because it was 99, so I would have been about 13 at the time.
Wow, that is really cool. So you also went to Raw 2005 at Birmingham NEC, which was actually live taping. It was on Sky that later evening.
Yeah,
what was that like?
Incredible again. Back at the NEC, 6 years later. Went with my friend and my cousin again. We went. It was quite cool actually. It was before Christian went over to TNA.
Oh, okay.
Still with Tyson Tomko at the time, but he was over. He was the bad guy, but the crowd were lapping it up all night with Christian. They could have really been looking maybe a couple of months down the line, putting the belt on him. He was in the main event. I can't remember who he fought that night. It might be Batista, because Batista hadn't gone over to SmackDown at that point. He was still Raw.
Oh, okay.
I think he went up against Batista, but it was just incredible. I just remember the crowd lapping up Christian. He was getting cheered. There was "You Screwed Matt" chants as well, because there was a thing going on with Edge and Lita. And
okay.
And Matt Hardy had obviously been sent away, hadn't he, at the time?
Yeah.
The whole crowd, when Edge came out with Lita, everyone was just chanting "You screwed Matt, you screwed Matt," because it happened in real life. Didn't it? There was an affair going on. So yeah. That sticks with me as well. But when we left the arena, the talent and the roster were coming out. I jump over a barrier. There's like a car coming past. It's Jim Ross in the back of the car. I'm banging on the window because I've had quite a lot of beer at this point.
Yeah.
And he tipped his Stetson at me in the window. It was quite funny. I just jumped over the barrier, and the car just happened to stop. And I'm banging on them, and he just tipped his Stetson down, and I walked away. I thought that was pretty cool. Being acknowledged by Jim Ross was quite funny.
Wow, that's cool.
So yeah, that was Birmingham in 2005. What I can remember, stuff I can remember.
Went to some other various shows.
Yes, yeah. Prior to 2005, I think. So it was like Sheffield, Manchester. We did a lot of SmackDown house shows. Cool. Got to see, I tell you what, Chris Benoit. I know some people don't like speaking about him, but undeniable talent. It was a mid-card match with A-Train Albert, who's obviously at NXT training people now, looking after them there. But it was one heck of a match. We had like Kurt Angle and Undertaker main event, which, you know, at the time, that's why SmackDown was doing so well in the ratings, because it was peak time. Heyman was doing the booking and a lot of the writing, and they were getting better viewing numbers than Raw was. So it was cool. But seeing it in a house show setting again, because Undertaker came out of character a little bit. They were messing around after the match, doing stuff. I think Kurt Angle kissed him, I think, if I remember rightly. And he escaped out the ring. You just wouldn't see that on SmackDown with you on TV.
No.
It's just things like that. But yeah, going back to Benoit and Albert, it was incredible. They put on an absolute brilliant match. It was that smaller man, bigger man dynamic, and it was superb. It was great to watch. Benoit hitting the suplexes. Just incredible, Kyle. You know, really, really enjoyed going to the house shows. I know I keep saying it, but they were good fun. They were good fun back then. And obviously SmackDown was on a high at that point. You know, it was doing so well. I think Brock would have been on the card as well. Or it might have been the one when I went to Sheffield in 2004. So yeah, got to see Lesnar then. Yeah, it's cool, mate. Just good fun going to the shows back then. In the UK, you know.
Yeah. So you've also done 7 WrestleManias.
Thank you for saying that as well. Yeah, people are gonna be like 7 WrestleManias. Yeah, seven, mate.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Wow, that is just crazy. So it was 2008, the first one. What was that like?
With it being the first one, not only was the card probably the best card out of all 7, but because it was the first one. It was just incredible being out in Orlando. We flew out to Orlando. We did 8 nights in Orlando. So
wow.
We didn't just do wrestling that week. We went to Universal Studios, did all that. Didn't have time for Disney, but obviously a bit too old for Disney, you know. But we had time, did Universal Studios, SeaWorld, all that sort of stuff. Then we were trying to like find our feet. We didn't understand like, you know, what sort of events were going on WWE wise. And it was like it was the early days of, you see Fan Access on TV, don't you, when they do WrestleMania every year. And what it was, they were in Universal Studios and we just happened to be walking past. And it was like outdoor signing, but it was on a lesser scale to what it is today. And I just remember Teddy Long being there doing a signing, Greg the Hammer Valentine, legend of the 80s, you know.
Yeah.
But then going to WrestleMania, just incredible. Obviously got to see Edge versus Undertaker, which went on last. And also, obviously, as I said earlier, about one of my favourite matches, the retirement match for Ric Flair versus Shawn, which I think should have gone on last, really. Because I think Undertaker and Edge, the crowd was with it, but they used a lot of energy for the Shawn Ric Flair match. I would have put that main event if I was booking, but I've never booked. So... And then I'm just trying to think, Money in the Bank with the Money in the Bank match. Obviously, CM Punk won it, so that was pretty cool.
Wow.
And, just incredible. The stadium was amazing in Orlando. They spent a lot of money because the stadium was quite old. I know they went back there in 2017 to the same venue, but it's all been done up by 2017. And then every WrestleMania, and in particular in 2008, went to Raw the night after. And you know how raucous the Raw is after WrestleMania. The crowd is absolutely crazy. So obviously they did like a goodbye to Ric Flair. All the wrestlers came down. So it was just cool. To be a part of it. Bit annoyed with Ric Flair though, because he obviously came out retirement. It really annoyed me that, you know, we spent all that money, went over, and he went on to have matches in TNA, didn't he? I think he had a match with Hogan in Australia as well. If memory serves, I think I'm right with that. But yeah, that was 2008, Carl, the first one. Just incredible.
Wow.
Just an incredible experience, the first one, because it's your first, isn't it?
Yeah. So then you did 2010. Anything good happen then?
Got to meet, first and foremost, a bunch of lads. We were all in the same hotel, and they're all from various places in the UK, and they've become very close friends of mine. They were at my wedding last year.
Oh,
wow. Just great lads. But that was the first year we met them in Arizona. We were all in the same hotel. It was an absolutely incredible time. It was so good. The stadium, the University of Phoenix Stadium, absolutely huge. But they're all huge. I mean, you're talking like anywhere between 70,000 to 100,000 people at an event.
Wow, that is a lot.
Obviously, they could open and close the roof. It was retractable, so it was pretty cool.
Oh wow.
Some points in the night you have the sun coming in, but yeah, just incredible. The career versus the streak, Undertaker and Michaels. I was a bit gutted I wasn't at the previous WrestleMania for the first match, but they put on another stellar match, and obviously Michaels lost, and there again ends up coming out of retirement. I was gutted, but money talks. But it was just cool seeing Undertaker and Michaels have the match, and it was Michaels' swan song. So yeah, it was good. Arizona was good fun, very good fun.
So then you did 2011. I hope you don't mind me going through all these.
It's absolutely fine. I'll answer them. I'm just trying to do little bits for you. So I'm not going on and on. I'm just highlighting like the main bits. Cool. So we're not here. I don't have you all day.
Yeah. So on 2011.
Well, the Rock versus Cena was built up, wasn't it? That night, obviously, back and forth going on, but it was the Miz and Cena main event. But match of the night for me. I know Edge had his retirement against Del Rio, but I really enjoyed Cody Rhodes versus Rey Mysterio that night on the mid card. It was incredible. A lot of people will say, "Oh, Edge's retirement." We had Triple H versus Undertaker as well. But weirdly, I enjoyed Cody Rhodes versus Rey. Really, it didn't get the praise it should have got, in my opinion.
No, yeah.
But yeah, great card, good night again, and then obviously built the year feud then between The Rock and Cena. The Rock came out, then he rock bottomed him, obviously. Miz held his own as well. Miz had his critics at the time. A lot of people like, why has he got the belt? So it was cool to see Miz, at the biggest event of the year, and he held his own. I think the guy's been unfairly criticised over his career, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think Miz is a really good wrestler.
Everything they've given him and the personality and all that, it's I think he should be praised more than he is, So, the Georgia Dome, which doesn't exist anymore. They obviously knocked it all down. You've got the new Atlanta Stadium. The Georgia Dome was a brilliant arena stadium, obviously roof over the top, so the sound reverberated from the crowd. It was incredible. It was incredible, Kyle. Just to give you a little bit. Just to give you a little bit about each one, so I'm not going on and on,
Yeah. So then you went to 2013.
I did go to 2013. Yeah, back to New York and New Jersey. They split the event up. So
okay.
I went to New York on a college trip in 2003, separate thing. So yeah, back to New York, and we stayed in New Jersey because WrestleMania was at the MetLife that year, but the Hall of Fame, which we go to every year, was over in Madison Square Garden in New York.
Oh, okay, yeah.
First time going to Madison Square Garden, after doing so many WrestleManias and events and wrestling. So going to the Mecca, the world's most famous arena, that was incredible, going to the Hall of Fame.
Wow.
It was so good, mate. It was brilliant. And Bruno Sammartino went in that year. So it was cool because he was a big star, obviously, up in the northeast of America. He was everywhere, but he sold out Madison Square Garden, record setting time. So it's nice to see him have his night in the Hall of Fame. Then on to WrestleMania, CM Punk versus Undertaker was what I wanted to see, and I think just the build up the feud, that was really good. I think there was more. They had more to that feud as well with that WrestleMania 29, and then the Rock Cena to finish the feud. Obviously, it was pretty cool as well. So yeah,
wow.
That's 29.
Yeah. And then the last one you have done is 2016.
Yes. So yeah,
what was that one like?
We were in Dallas. I'm just gonna pick up on some stuff here. Actually, it was chaos outside. There was loads of people waiting to go in. You're dealing with 100,000 people. Do you know what I mean? But normally it's dead organised. You got in and out of the stadium and what have you. It was fine. Anyway, it was really hot that day. Texas heat and all the rest of it. The pre-show had started. Ryback and Kalisto were having a match. but you just couldn't. They were just struggling with the numbers outside. It just wasn't very well organised. Anyway, we got in before the main show started. The pre-show was still going on, but yeah, it was just a bit unorganised from the outside.
Yeah,
but yeah, it was cool. It was decent. It was a decent event, you know. The year before was better. San Jose, San Francisco, in my opinion, because obviously you had Sting, Triple H, didn't you? Rusev versus Cena,
wow.
Bray versus The Undertaker. So yeah, just scooting back a bit. I preferred WrestleMania 31 over 32. Seth Rollins cashing in, can't forget about that. Obviously, Brock and Reigns were going at it, weren't they? Next thing, cashed in, didn't he? And he won the belt. So it's just cool to be a part of that, you know. Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it in 2015, and had a good holiday as well. You know, I had a good time with the lads. So yeah, that's some
awesome.
of some of the 7 WrestleMania experiences. I could tell you stuff all day about WrestleMania trips, Kyle.
Yeah, I would listen all day happily.
Yeah, I know, mate.
So you've been to other events, and you've met some amazing wrestlers. Can you tell me a bit about that?
Well, yeah, it's obviously within WrestleMania. I'm sure you're aware of it. Separate event going on. They're obviously capitalising on all the wrestling fans being there. You've got WrestleCon. So obviously, I've met a lot of guys at WrestleMania Fan Access, the WWE event, but also at WrestleCon. Met some great guys over the years. Rob Van Dam, RVD.
Wow.
Absolutely incredible. I've sent you the photos overnight to have a look.
I think so, yeah.
So you're aware of and basically had RVD's like, what's this title? I said, it's the TV title. And I think it was the original ECW TV title that he had. And he was like, when did I win it? I was like, 1998, Rob. But just chatting away, honestly, you know, considering he had a queue of people, I was chatting to him for a little bit. That was really cool. Met William Regal that year in 2013. Wow. My mate was queued up with a Chris Jericho t-shirt. We're just queuing up at this point. He's meeting people. He must have spotted the t-shirt out the corner of his eye. And he goes, take that silly bloody shirt off, because he saw the Chris Jericho t-shirt. we were in hysterics, just like queuing up. Met Matt Hardy as well. Matt Hardy was absolutely brilliant.
Wow.
Would it be nice if Jeff was there? You know, if the two of them were there. But very much like Rob Van Dam, very down to earth, stood there chatting. He had a bit of a queue, but he was more than happy. We were chatting. I said, how's Jeff? Because Jeff was going through some things at the time.
Yeah.
He answered everything. And at the end of the day, Kyle, they're human like me and you. But I think sometimes you get overawed, don't we, by the guys, because you see on TV. They're all normal guys, mate. Bret Hart, obviously my favourite of all time. Spoke about him earlier, the matches and stuff like that, and the experiences. Met Bret Hart finally, 2013. Couldn't muster up a sentence. I was nervous. He's like, I said, I was at SummerSlam 92. That was about the best I could do. And he goes, you like the outdoor shows? I said, yes, Mr. Hart, I like the outdoor shows. And there's a nice photo there with me and Bret and my dad. My dad's in the photo as well. So it's pretty cool.
Wow.
Pretty cool. You know, it was a nice experience. Going on WrestleCon 2015, it would have been. Met Ric Flair. That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. Really just one of them moments where it just, the aura of the guy before you meet him. But as I say, quite down to earth. I had a quick chat and stuff like that, and then went on my way, had the photo. Diamond Dallas Page, DDP, great guy. I've met so many, mate.
Yeah.
Scott Steiner, obviously, loved the Steiner brothers back in the day when they were tagging him and his brother Rick. Brilliant. A lot of people say, oh, Scott Steiner, be careful. He was nothing but nice. Shook his hand, had a little chat, just said I really enjoyed him in his tag matches with his brother back in the 80s and 90s, you know. They're down to earth, Kyle.
Yeah, they sound it.
You get the odd person who's a bit of a nightmare, but other than that, in the main, most of the guys I've met have been lovely, really nice, pleasant. You know, they're great. They're great people. You know, we pay
really cool.
We pay their wages, Kyle, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Without fans, you know, they need the fans, don't they, in the wrestling game?
Yeah, that's true.
Make the money. So yeah, that's just a little bit as I say, I've met about 60, 70 wrestlers. It'd be a bit like the WrestleMania stories. We could be here all day, me telling you. I was just picking off some of them for you, just
Yeah, that's cool.
Viewers to know who I've met.
So as we've got a little bit of time, how do you think WWE has changed now from back how it was?
It's just obviously as soon as the internet came in, not so much in the 90s because it was not what it is today, but obviously the internet's changed everything. You didn't have the mystique. The mystique's gone. The mystique's gone because people find out stuff backstage. Sometimes though, it's not. It's not fact. People put stuff up, don't they? And it's not. And it's not a matter of fact. I've heard this. I don't. I tend to stay away from the rumor side. Oh, this happened to so and so, blah blah blah, when it hasn't actually happened. I think just the business has changed. It was always going to change. Not just the internet. Wrestling's evolved from when I was watching it when I was a kid. But I still say to this day, matches from the 80s and 90s would still hold up today. Against current stuff. I like watching the current stuff. I enjoy AEW as well. Really do.
Yeah, AEW is really good.
They're doing really well. I know some people aren't fans of it, but I think Tony Khan and the guys have done very well. Jericho and Moxley going over there was helpful, wasn't it? Obviously, we've got Miro, formerly known as Rusev, over there. I'm a big fan of Adam Page. I was a big fan of Adam Page when he was in Ring of Honor.
Oh, okay.
To see him at the forefront, because I think there was a couple of times he could have won the TV title in Ring of Honor, and they never put the belt on him. I always thought he could carry the belt. He's got the look, he's got the moveset, he can talk, he's the complete package. MJF, I mean, everyone for the most part loves what MJF's doing. There's no off-putting. He stays in character at signings. That's lost a little bit. It's quite old school, which is what I like about MJF. He plays the character even at, like, when you meet him signings. I would like to meet him. I'd like to see. I'd like to challenge with MJF to see what he'd be like with me. Absolutely. But yeah, wrestling's changed. A lot of people like the old school, the Attitude Era, the late 80s, early 90s and stuff of that nature. But I like modern wrestling, Kyle. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
There's plenty of it. So it's hard keeping up with it, especially with me back working the last couple of months. It's been hard keeping up. But for the most part, mate, I'm very positive about it. A lot of people bash it, but I just ignore them. They're allowed their opinion. I don't agree. I think wrestling on the whole is in a good place.
Yeah.
A lot of people bash it, but they don't give it a chance because they're stuck in, like, the 80s and 90s maybe a little bit. So yeah, I enjoy it. How about you?
Yeah, I have to agree. I think I really enjoy it. I think they're doing really well at the minute, and even with the circumstances of the lockdowns and things, I think they're still at it and they're still putting the good shows on, even with the pay-per-views.
WWE done their best. I like the Thunderdome.
Yeah.
I like they did that. It's so much better. I found it hard watching at the PC. WrestleMania. And obviously they didn't have the wrestlers around the ring, did they? Obviously, AEW were doing that for a while, weren't they? Prior.
Yeah.
It was much better in Full Sail and the PC when they got the crowds in. Well, the wrestlers, should I say, the talent for a bit of noise. I enjoyed WrestleMania, but I found it hard. It needed some form of atmosphere via a crowd. However small the crowd was, I think they could have had the wrestlers round the ring making a bit of noise and the talent around the ring. But yeah, I enjoyed it though. Mania was considering there was no crowd, they did their best. They did their best, and there was some decent matches this year, Kyle.
Yeah, there were. So is there anything you would like to add?
Where to find me, maybe?
Yeah.
Is that what you want me to say? Right, yeah. On Twitter, it's @StuiP1, so it's STUIEP with a 1. On Instagram, because you can't put an apostrophe in on your title, it's STUS, so it looks like stus, Wrestling Podcast, because you can't put an apostrophe S on. I don't know why you can't do that on the Instagram.
Oh,
We've also got ourselves on Facebook. It's as a page, not a group. I don't know if that makes any difference, but you can find us, Stu's Wrestling Podcast, on Facebook. You can find us on there. We've also got a website, www.stuswrestlingpodcast.com. So everything's housed there. And we are across all podcast platforms now. So whatever app you listen to, not just the trendy apps to listen to your podcast like Spotify, Deezer, I'm trying to think of other ones, Stitcher. We're across other podcast channels as well, Castbox, Player FM. We're now on Amazon. We're on Amazon Music and Alexa.
wow.
Tune in. But basically, Kyle, if you put Stu's Wrestling Podcast in and the listeners, the viewers to Kyle's show, you will find this. That is where you'll find this.
Wow, that's good. Well, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you very much. Pleasure. You keep doing
No problem.
You keep doing what you're doing, mate, okay?
Thank you.
You stay in the zone. You're doing really well. I'm proud
Thank you.
I'm proud of you, mate. You keep going. And,
Thank you, mate.
As I say, we'll all help you out, mate. And the more you do, the confidence will flow, mate.
Yeah.
And the confidence was flowing today, mate. So
Thank you.
well done, matey.
Thank you guys for listening to Kyle's Wrestling. See you soon.